You're listening to Sports Talk 49 with your host, Blake Anthony, exclusively on NSPN Champa Bay TV.
And here we go!
Get ready to strap yourself in and prepare for a ride on the soul-trained voice of Blake Anthony as he covers and breaks down the ins and outs of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rays, Lightning, and every other professional sports team. Because if you don't know, you better ask somebody, and that somebody is Blake Anthony.
Doesn't matter what's happened before today. Today's a brand new day. It's a brand new season.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk 49 Live, and always exclusively right here on NSPN Champa Bay TV. As advertised, I was going to bring on somebody to talk about this offensive line stuff going on with the team and talk about the Buccaneers. And none other, I got to bring on Randy Grimes. Randy, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much. Did I hear that in the upload say the soul trained voice? I love it, man.
Everybody says I got that radio voice, or they used to say it was a New York radio station. It was called not Smooth Jazz, but Quiet Storm. They used to say that all the time.
Are you sure? Are you sure they said that, or that you had a face for radio?
Hey, that might be true too. So, Randy,
hey, I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do.
Hey, you know, me and you've been talking back and forth for so long. We just finally had to do it. Stop teasing and just do it.
Did, man. You know, the Bucs. Hey, it's going to be a big year for them, and man, they're starting off kind of rough right now.
Absolutely, we're gonna get into all that, but you know me, and if everybody that watches me, what I like to get into is what you got going on in the community, what you got going on in Randy's life. What is everything that you got going on right now?
Oh, well, man, I don't know if you know, but 13 years ago, I got clean and sober. I was that guy willing to do whatever I had to stay out on the field. And back when I played for the Bucs here, I developed an addiction to painkillers. You know, that was my answer for staying out on the field and playing and practicing through the injuries that I had. And, you know, I looked at it like a necessary evil instead of what it really was, which was a full-blown addiction. And you know, I carried that into my private life, and, you know, the injuries got worse. The pain, the chronic pain just got worse. My tolerance to the medication just kept getting higher, and I needed more and more all the time. And, you know, it developed a really ugly an addiction for 20-plus years that, you know, I didn't finally put up my hand and ask for help until September of 2009. And when I came into treatment, there was nothing out there for former NFL players. And, you know, I knew that I wanted to make everything that I put my family and my friends and my finances and everything through, the damage that I did, I wanted to make it mean something. And, you know, I started working with the NFL. We formed a division of the NFL called the NFL Player Care Foundation. And we started reaching out to former players out there. And, you know, there's 17,000 plus former players out there. And I knew there was a lot of guys out there like me who were suffering in silence and for whatever reason, pride, ego, guilt, shame, whatever it is, wouldn't put their hand up and ask for help. But usually it was because they didn't think that there was any resources available for them. So I started getting out, sharing my story, working with the Player Care Foundation, and guys started coming out of the woodwork. And, you know, I've been able to help hundreds and hundreds of former players, guys that I played with and guys I played against. And it was so successful that Major League Baseball got involved with it, started sending me their retired players. And pretty much, Anthony, every sport you can think of that has an organization that supports their former players, whether it's the Jockeys Guild or the MMA or the PGA or any of these organizations that supports their former players that are struggling with mental health and addiction issues, I get to work with them. So that's what I'm doing now. I do it at White Sands Treatment Center right outside of Tampa in Plant City. But listen, I don't just work with athletes only. You know, I work with everybody. My wife is a certified family counselor, and she works with families. And you know that this is a disease that is, you know, we're losing an entire generation of people right in front of our eyes, and usually it's young people. You know, it's a pandemic within a pandemic here, and you know we've got to do something to slow this down, to stop it. And I know that we're not going to legislate our way out of it. We're not going to arrest our way out of it, but we can educate our way out of it. And, you know, when I'm not helping people at White Sands Treatment Center, that I'm out on the road sharing my story, helping tear down the stigma that's associated with addiction and mental health issues, making it easier for families and people to raise their hand and ask for help.
Absolutely. That is key. It's much like former players, even former military people that don't get the help that they need. And you said it, hit it right on the nose. I guess as us as men, I'm just going to put it like that as I'm speaking from my own experiences. When we have issues, we tend to not want to talk about it because it's kind of like cliche of being weak when you want to talk about your problems and things like that. Like you said, it could be pride, it could be whatever the situation is, but it's good for the people that really need to reach out and get help. Like yourself, you said you got addicted to painkillers. The first thing that comes to mind is when Brett Favre was young and got hurt. You had the same kind of addiction. Not sure if you ever talked to Brett or anything like that, but
Yeah,
that's the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about addiction and things like that. And your story is probably one of millions that people hear and possibly want to be a part of and help try to get steps back towards bettering themselves and have a quality, not just a life, but a quality life after your career of playing professional sports.
Well, and you know, addiction is the great equalizer. It brings us all to the same place. You know, it doesn't discriminate. Look at Vincent Jackson. Look at Keith McCants.
So
Those are two local Buccaneer guys that I knew, and they were just local, and it affected them. So, you know, it hits home. It hits us. It hits our family here with the Buccaneers and the Bay Area. You know, so. But that's just two players. You know, that doesn't mention all the other overdoses that have happened in this community.
Right.
You know, we're a hotbed here in Hillsborough and Pinellas County. We're a hotbed of Florida as far as overdoses. So we've really got our work cut out for us as far as educating people and tearing down that stigma and getting people to reach out and ask for help. And you're right. You know, we us guys, especially us guys, we have that warrior mentality, and really, it's because that's how we were raised, you know, because that's how our dads were raised. And, you know, that big boys don't cry mentality, or that you dust yourself off and you get back in the huddle and shut up, you know, that mentality. And, you know, that's the way we were raised. And that's what gets people dead nowadays.
Yep. If you don't say anything, it ends up dead. And you hit that on the head. That hit this community hard, especially the Vincent Jackson one. Being found in a hotel room all alone, it just breaks your heart to hear a guy of that stature that gave his life to youth and many other people. That's how the story ends at such a young age, and it is heartbreaking. I know you said you were close with Vince, and Vince was close with tons of people in here. I talked with national anthem singer for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Miss Sonia Bryson-Curtsey. And she was in tears hearing about Vincent Jackson and things like that. I got to actually send you, I did like a video tribute to Vincent Jackson about all his interviews. I'll send that to you when we get off air. I thought it was pretty cool, the Vincent Jackson. But people should just remember, not just on the field with pads, they got to remember people outside of that as well, because there are two lives and they're two separate things.
Right. And so between White Sands Treatment Center, Pro Athletes in Recovery, I just came out with a book. I released it at the Super Bowl, February the 8th, out in L.A., and it's called Off Center, and it's a memoir of my journey. It's kind of like my comeback story. And Coach Ditka wrote the foreword for it, and I've got some great endorsements in there from other coaches that I've had throughout the years and different people. So I'm really proud of this book. And, you know, the whole reason for the book was it was a platform for my whole family I guess it was a healing process for the Grimes family, because everybody had a part in it. Everybody participated. Everybody contributed. And they share their stories in there. And I'm just really proud of what it's done and how many copies we've sold. I always said if I sold a copy or not, I didn't care, because the main purpose was to heal my family. And it's done that plus, a 100-fold. And it's been real successful. People have really latched onto it. They like it. The reviews have been great. And again, it's called Off Center. You can go to offcenterthebook.com or just find Randy Grimes Off Center on Amazon and get it there.
Absolutely. And if you guys are not sure, it's right down there scrolling on the bottom of the ticker. I'll put it in the description box when I send this out. And if you guys can reach out to Randy, reach out to myself. You need to know more information. I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction, who to talk to, because like Randy made beautiful points. It's a serious, and it's people at young age are dying for stuff that they can get help for. And all they got to do is just reach out.
Leading cause of death between 18 and 45 right now is opioids and overdoses.
It is ridiculous, especially out there in Pasco County. It was ridiculous, I think, around last year. As you're a local guy, so I'm sure you're aware of everything that's going on around here. It's a serious thing. But let's not get all doom and gloom and talk about it. Let's talk about the fun stuff now. Let's talk about the fun stuff. So let's start from the top. I love educating people. This is the one main reason why I like doing what I do, is to talk to former and current players and share what I know about the game and share with them. I like to pick brains, but I like to try to educate people, because there are a lot of people that watch this game. They understand, but they don't understand. So let's start with the top. How important is the center on the offensive line?
Well, center's the quarterback of the offensive line. That's the guy that's making audibles at the line of scrimmage, changing blocking schemes, getting guys going in the right direction, making sure everybody's on the same page. And not only that, but he's got to listen for the quarterback to make audibles and to change the snap counts and listen for the snap count. And most important, make a good snap. So, you can't start a play without a center, and you can't start a play without a good center. And there's a lot that goes into that position from the time you break the huddle until you actually snap the ball. And, like I said, he's got to be smart. He's got to be able to react. And, and it's not something that you can think about either. It's something that you've got to have drilled into you, and you just react, because that's all the time you had to do it. So it's maybe one of the most important positions on the field.
So educate those that may not know. As the beginning of the when you guys come out the huddle, you usually want to break the huddle with about 25 seconds remaining on the clock. Yeah, because the communication through the headset, because that cuts off after a certain amount of time. So he's got to get the play if he's got the play in. So let's talk about the part where you guys are walking up to the line of scrimmage. Of course, you comes first, leading the offensive line. Are you the first person that makes line adjustments before the quarterback decides to change the play?
Absolutely. You make those as you're walking to the line of scrimmage. You declare the strength of the defense. You find your linebackers that you're responsible for. The quarterback knows which ones he's responsible for. The running backs know which ones they're responsible for. But you also got to realize that, chances are 50-50 that the play is going to be changed at the line of scrimmage, depending on what they show up in over there. So you know what you're going to do, but you also have to know what you're going to do when he changes that call, when he makes that audible back there. And you've got to be prepared to not only get yourself going in the right direction, but you got to make sure that you got everybody else going in the right direction. And there's a lot going on in that 10 or 15 seconds right there, as you're walking to the ball and getting over it.
Correct.
And then you still got the responsibility of making a good shotgun snap,
Yep, shotgun line adjustments. And speaking of the center, one of the most aspects that people don't factor in playing center, how hard is it to snap and then step and try to reach block, like to get around, get to the outside of the defender? Because a lot of people, you can't go first without snapping. You have to do one into the other. How did you adjust with that?
Well, it gets to the point where you are doing both at the same time.
Okay.
I mean, it's the only way you can survive. If you try to snap the ball and then take a step, then the defensive guy's already got a step on you, and you've lost then. So you've got to get to the point where you're snapping and stepping at the same time. But it's just something that you have to practice. That's why I say it's a skill position. Not just anybody can do it, obviously. I think anybody could probably get up there and just snap it to a quarterback who's underneath you. But as far as doing a shotgun and run blocking and even a shotgun and pass blocking with somebody over you, that's a skill too. And, not just anybody can do it. And I think that, you got to practice it. Nowadays they're doing it in high school. They're doing it more in college. Whereas when I came through, that was something we only did in third and long. But now they're doing it all the time. So guys are getting good at it at an early age. They're learning how to do it. And by the time they get to college, that second, third year in college, they're right on the money every time. They're making good steps. And it's a skill. It's a skill position.
There, you heard it right there. It's a skill position. It's everybody just can't play center. Like he just said, you have to be able to snap and step. Otherwise than that, your pressure is going to be right in front of your quarterback. Can't set his feet. You can't set an anchor, and it's just going to be a bad day. And you forced a bad play on that one because you couldn't get where you needed to be. There's a reason why I ask these questions. You'll find out because I like to set up things later. Now, of course, how big is the loss of Ryan Jensen and now Aaron Stinnie. Now, Ryan Jensen's the center, got extended, but was the highest paid center until his new contract. Then they extended, and he wants to finish career here. He goes down with an apparent knee injury. It hasn't been determined he's going to go on IR. How big are those losses, or Ryan Jensen's losses what do you think? Like, how does this team come back from that?
Well, I mean, Ryan's loss is huge, obviously. Thank goodness we have a few weeks of training camp left to get somebody else prepared, but you're never going to be back to that level of Ryan Jensen, the starter. Correct. And hopefully you just do the best you can and have two really good guards that can kind of overtake some of the
load. Yeah.
And the different things that the new center can't do. That's going to be tough on everybody, but you can adjust. You can adjust, and I'm sure Brady's working with them, and he's he's supporting any decision that they make. But it's going to be up to the two guards to really make up the difference there in the middle, and hopefully we get Ryan back by week 5 or 6. Or I'm not sure what they're saying yet, but at one time I was hearing week 5 or 6, so I don't know.
Do you speak with Jensen or the Jensen family at all? Are you close with them?
I know the kid. I'm not real close with him.
Okay.
But I do keep up with him because, that's the position I watch. When I watch the Bucs, I watch that interior.
Can't help it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I watch those middle, and that's my game right there. Is all the grunt and the stuff going on in the trenches, and there's that that I have with him.
Absolutely. So with that, I want to transition to you talking about the backup guy, Robert Haynes. I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, but I'll just give you a quick session. He played right tackle at the University of Notre Dame. Came into the league. He doesn't have the feet to play offensive tackle in the league, obviously, because these edge rushers are now running 4.4s and 4.5s. So you move him inside. He was guard. Now he's at center right now. Now I've watched him at camp. He looks like he's having a struggle with the snap and the step, and defenders are able to get under him, and he can't set the anchor. What kind of advice would you give Robert Haynes if he was here with us right now?
Well, it just takes practice and repetition, because I'm sure right now he's thinking about the snap. He's making sure that he gets the ball right where Brady wants it. And, that's pressure enough that without even thinking about having to stop and block the guy over you,
Or make the calls and the line,
or
as we
make
talked
the
earlier.
calls and everything else. And I'm sure they're having the guards help him out with that, or all 5 guys across the front are helping out with that right now. But, it's just a matter of getting that guy some reps And I mean live reps, you know, not this unpadded stuff
Yeah,
that
that's
they do
nothing.
over there. Yeah, I'm talking about live one-on-one reps and get him used to snapping that ball. Because I can remember, man, I would be one-on-one with a shotgun snap up against Reggie White. And, you know, my only defense was to snap the ball and give up 2 or 3 steps to give myself time to get set. Because he was already coming, he was already on top of me. You know, it happens just that quick, and you know, you can't go out and attack somebody because if you miss, there's nobody between you and the quarterback up that middle. So he's got a lot of work to do, and but he's got plenty of time to do it, I think. And you know, there's it's going to take a team effort though to get him ready. And I have watched him play, and yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
And he's going to have to get some foot speed in there somewhere.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I was watching. That like everybody wants to watch the skill positions. Me, like I like to watch those interior guys. I like to watch that, and especially that's a focal point now with Ryan Jensen coming out. I want to see how Hainsey was dealing with that when they had the one-on-one scrimmages. With the Dolphins, they were getting the best of him. There were some plays he was able to get his anchor set, but he had to give up a couple, like a yard or two to give ground. But yeah, it's just going to be a repetition thing with live reps. You're absolutely right. Padded shorts and a t-shirt ain't doing nothing for you. You need a guy, like you said, over top of you. You need a guy coming at you where he's going to come straight at your ear hole, and you're going to have to get that snap off and get your feet set. And so because if you don't block your guy, the play is dead, especially if it's a pass play. The quarterback, especially in Tom Brady, who's not exactly fleet of foot, he needs that pocket to set up and throw, or pretty much that play is dead.
That's right. And you can't look like a hairy mammoth in a tar pit.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst feeling ever. I used to call those Olay blocks or lookout blocks. As the defender comes by you, you look back and say, look out.
That's about all you can do. I've had a few of those.
You don't want to have too many of those because you look really bad when you all sit in the meeting room and you have to look at tape. And when you do something bad, it just seems like that's the play they want to look at over and over. And you just look at yourself like, just go to the damn next play. I'm like, oh my God.
But we might have had a few of those on purpose with Steve Young because he would never set up where he was supposed to. And we never knew where he was behind us. So we'd have to get his attention one way or the other.
Yeah, Steve, he was considered a mobile quarterback.
Yeah. You think?
I want to talk about this too. Transitioning from guard to center. Those who are watching and know Randy, he actually came into the league in '83. He actually played left guard. See, I do my homework, Randy. He came into the league playing left guard and then switched over to center. And how is that transition? Because everybody seems to think that you can just pick up anybody and place them in at the guard position. Can you educate us on what that transition is like from guard to center or center to guard? Or
well, let me tell you that. Actually, I came in as a center. I played center at Baylor. Mm-hmm. And my first start in the league was at guard.
Guard, yep.
Because we were at Texas Stadium, and Ray Snell, who was our starting left guard at the time, I don't know, he blew out a hamstring or a groin or something in pregame, fix and play against Randy White. And so this was my rookie year, and they told me, all right, Grimes, you're in there. You're at left guard. And I'd never played left guard in my life. So I played that whole game, and I grew up a lot that day going against Randy White. But, I think it's a lot easier, obviously, to move from center to guard. Other than the pulling and everything else that guards do, you're not having to snap the ball, and you're not having to snap and step at the same time.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to go from center to guard. I think it's harder to go from guard to center. But a lot of these teams now, a lot of these programs, especially these big D1 schools, are teaching their guards how to be a center because, you usually have problems there. And if you ever do, you want to be able to move a good quality player into center. And I don't know. It seems like to me, it's easier to replace a guard than it is a center. So if you've got somebody ready to go, somebody that can move right in there in case your starter goes down or even your second string center goes down, then you're more prepared and ready as a team. So It's like I said, it's easier to go from center to guard than it is from guard to center.
Absolutely. I agree. Center is definitely a spot, and I'm glad you shined the light on it because it's just not an unskilled position that you can plug and play anybody in, because that position is very important on the offensive line. How was it playing with Steve Young?
Steve Young was great, man. We just never knew where he was because, like you said, he was so mobile back there, and he would never sit in the pocket like he was supposed to because he was always trying to make something happen. And so you got to give him credit for being the warrior that he was. He was left-handed, and he was back there. He was running around left-handed, with throwing the ball left-handed, and the guy was just all over the place. But it was great to come back to in the huddle because he always seemed in control. He always had that upbeat look about him, and that persona that you want to come back to the huddle and see a guy that's in charge. Steve DeBerg was like that.
Yeah.
As funny as he was, and as fun as he was to be on the field with, he also was that guy who was always in charge. And that's who you want to come back to the huddle and see.
Right.
And Benny was like that after a couple of years.
Right.
Benny was a great athlete, and he was somebody you wanted to come back to the huddle and see because he was always in charge.
Absolutely. And that's what you want from your quarterback. You want to be able to come back to that huddle knowing he's going to make a play, he's going to make something happen to keep that ball moving or put the ball in the end zone. You got to believe in that. And that's the continuity of football. Here's a question that I want to ask, and I thought it was a hot topic, and I couldn't think of nobody better to ask than you. And does James Wilder belong in the Ring of Honor? Now, before you answer, I'm going to read a tweet from his son that he posted on Twitter, James Wilder Jr. Not sure if you saw this or not. Every time Pops tells me about being any kind of sore, I want to call the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just sell them out. Boy, if it wasn't for Pops, this man got the key to the city, man of the community, and have all your running back records. Why isn't he in the Ring of Honor? Y'all see my damn tweets.
It's a great question. I don't know why he's not in the ring either. I blocked for James Wilder for many years, and maybe the greatest running back, obviously the greatest running back that I ever blocked for. And I blocked for Walter Abercrombie at Baylor, and I've had some good ones in the backfield at the Bucs, but nobody was like J-Dub. And man, he was just a man among men out there. And the guy punished people,
Oh, yeah.
He was such a great athlete, too. He didn't just punish people and run over them. He doesn't get a lot of credit for that, but that's what he did. He just annihilated people, or he'd run right past you. And
he was a great catching back as well. He was multi-purpose. He was an every down back.
Absolutely. The guy could catch out of the backfield, and he was just a great guy to have not only in the huddle, but also in the locker room. He was a team player and a great teammate. And man, there's absolutely no reason why he's not in the ring.
You heard it right there, that James Wilder belongs in the Ring of Honor. He owns all the records, key to the city. I don't see any reason why not. Somebody's gonna have to explain to me, explain to Randy, explain to somebody why he's not in the Ring of Honor, unless you already have it planned and something up for it. But there's questioning minds want to know why he's not.
I agree.
One more question for you before we go to one fun thing before we get out of here. Is Tom Brady being absent from the team a concern? Now, did you have anybody do this in your years of playing? The guys had to step away, family, doing movies, doing anything like that. Does that cause a distraction, or shed some light on this if you have some experience of this?
Well, obviously, I never had to deal with this. We never had anybody do that back when I played, but I also never played with anybody of Tom Brady's caliber. I never played with anybody who was 45 years old who had the experience and the Super Bowl wins, that Tom Brady has. So, I'm sure Tom Brady, he's been around long enough. He's a good enough athlete. He's a team player. I'm sure he can handle taking 2 weeks off like that. As far as the team and the timing and all that, I can't really speak to that as far as the receivers and the routes and everything. I'm sure it probably didn't help things too much, but it probably didn't hurt things either.
Correct.
And that's between Tom and the team, and if coach and and everybody thinks that that's okay, then, who am I to say that it's not? But, it just blows my mind because we would have never dealt with something like that back when I was there.
It's a new era.
But then again, there was nobody like Tom either.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, because when you see stuff like that happen, then you see who it is. You're like,
Right.
if somebody was going to miss time, that would be the guy that could miss time. It's 7 Super Bowls, 45 years of age, and he's not going to play in preseason anyway. So, I mean, they say it was planned. He came back to practice today. All in well. Everybody seems happy. I guess we just move on and see what happens.
Back on track.
Now, here comes my favorite part of the session. See, I got a surprise for you. I like to go down memory lane a little bit right here. So let me set the mood right. Let's talk about some of these plays right here.
Uh-oh. Back in the day, the Bears.
Yeah, you mentioned Dicka. You must have read my mind.
Steve McMichael. I see Hampton right there.
You remember this play?
Look at that.
Oh, I get you another replay. For you.
There's the Berg.
Who's that guy in the middle right there?
Uh,
Some young stud.
So, yeah, back in the day, right. There's my Baylor teammate, Singletary, right in front of me.
How was that? Was there any smack talking come across? I saw a few times you guys you had nobody over top of Singletary.
That's all Singletary did was talk smack. He hated getting hit.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I got 2 more for you, this one and the next one.
And Steve McMichael right now is struggling with MS. He's really struggling right now.
You guys keeping close contact?
Yeah, through Dicka's organization, I see him, Gridiron Greats. I keep up with him that way, and he's bedridden now. He's not good.
You guys also played against Leslie Frazier in this game as well, playing DB out there.
Oh man, those were some good teams the Bears had back then.
A lot of coaches came from this defense.
Oh yeah.
Here's the last one, probably my favorite because you had the legend in front of you, the fridge, William Perry in front of you.
The fridge.
Now let me go to this other replay right here. Girls, House is still local guy.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get to this replay.
Did I see Steve Young over on the sideline?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
now,
wow.
what is going through your mind with that large of a man right over top of you right there? That's what we're talking about. That takes a skill to snap and then just not get steamrolled by a guy named Fridge. What's going through your mind right here?
Well, actually, somebody like that, if you just don't let them get any momentum going, then they're just kind of, you just kind of have to lean against him at that point. But if you let them get some momentum going and get you going backwards, it's all over. But, Fridge, I'm much more worried about somebody like Dan Hampton or Steve McMichael than I was the Fridge, Yeah,
because it takes a lot to get a guy that big going, but when they get going, it's going to be.
When they get going, there ain't no stopping them. That's right.
Stop the bus before it gets going. No, I definitely hear what you're saying. That is a load to stop, and there ain't no sinking, no anchor on that. The anchor is going to break.
Well, that's some great footage you had there.
Yeah, I pull out all the stops when you guys are coming on here because I like to bring down memory lane. I like to talk about, see if you guys can remember what was going through your head in those plays. As I said before, I like to talk to you guys and love to share and share the stories. And I like try to educate people on the position, especially offensive line, which is a position that I preach and preach and preach. That is one of the most important positions on the team. Everybody likes the flashy wide receivers and the guys that do end zone dances, but without those guys up front, it affects your passing game. It affects your running game. None exists without those 5 up front.
That's right. And you got to have that. You got to have that momentum on offense to keep the defense off the field. Otherwise, it affects the defense too.
Correct, because they keep having to come back after 3 and out, especially if they were on the field previously on an 8-minute, 10-minute drive, depending on what it was, and depending on how the team plays, they're just slamming them every play with run after run after run. You're right; they get fatigued as well, so it affects the defense as well.
Right.
Randy, we're at the 30-minute marker. You want to give everybody another update on where they can find all your work and everything, and let them know.
Hey, you can find me on all social media. You know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, even Twitter. But also, you can find me at proathletesinrecovery.org or at whitesandstreatment.com. And go to my book, go to offcenterthebook.com and order a book, or find me on Amazon at Randy Grimes Off Center.
Yep, like I said before, check the scroll at the bottom. Those will also all be posted on the description in this when you guys watch this video. And we'll end this as we always do. I'm Blake Anthony. This is the great Randy Grimes. You're the master of everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you.